Man, you already know what it is. Jay Williams, Let's Live Life, and we're back. The prison rec yard. One of the most dangerous places you're going to encounter when it comes to being a lockup. Everything and anything goes down on the prison rec yard. You think you're going to hide from a man? That's the one place he can get you and nobody can help you. This is a giant fence all around you. Razor wire on the top. And you're locked inside of there. You got beef with another man. Well, first of all, if you attempt to scale the fence to get away from them, they're going to shoot you because they think you're escaping. So it goes without saying, there's nowhere to go. A lot of y'all going to watch this video and be like, well, why would you even go out there if that's how it is out there? That is your only chance of halfway feeling free. Going out there and feeling that breeze, that sun hitting your face, smelling that fresh air that doesn't smell like that stagnant cell, that cell that really gets no air. That's a place where you can go to free your mind. Walk. You got something heavy on your mind, heavy on your heart, throw a set of headphones on. Just walk the track and just think. You don't have to personally have any issues at the moment, but out there on that rec yard, you're going to see it. Everything you don't want to see, everything you've heard about, everything I talk about, everything you've seen on TV, for the most part, you're going to see it on that yard. You're going to see guys of all caliber. You're going to see weak guys, and then you're going to see the monsters. You're going to see people get hurt, victimized, taken advantage of. People playing. People mean mugging. People laughing. People smoking. People doing drugs. Any and everything you could think about, you are going to see on that prison rec yard. That's what we'll get into today. The rec yard. The yard. It's a place you never want to end up. Who wants to be locked inside of a massive fenced-in area with all of society's worst? For a lot of y'all, you go to the park to get away. Go through a stroll in the woods or walk down the street. In the penitentiary, that getaway, that stroll down the street, that retreat is the yard. One of the most violent places you can end up, the yard, is where you go to get peace of mind. That's what we're on now. Prison yards. And the truth behind them. Things I've been through and the things I've seen. You know how to see it, you know how to live it. So, let's relive it. My introduction to what prison rec yards was, jail rec yards, was everything you would think it would be. Now, I've been through a lot of different jails where a rec consisted of going out onto a blacktop with a wall, it's about 15 foot high, and then fence, and then, a ceiling above you that's made of metal and you can't see the sky, but you can look through that fence and see the clouds. I've been in places where the walls were 20 foot tall and the ceiling was made of fence. So you go outside and all you see are these concrete walls. Then you look straight up through the chain link fence, and if you're lucky, you see a bird fly by. If you're lucky, you can be out there long enough to see the clouds pass by, or the sun might position itself to where you can actually get sunlight. The first place I ever went where I actually went outside and saw grass, could actually feel a little bit of the wind breeze, was a place called the House of Corrections located in Philadelphia. Built in 1927 by Quakers. This place was the definition of just barbaric. The living conditions. For anybody in there that's ever been to the House of Corrections, speak up. Talk about it. Get in the comment section, let them know. The living conditions were beyond inhumane. The cells always felt moist. It's the best way to put it. Damp. Pipes were all located outside the cells going down, down the tier, single tier. There's another tier above us, but you can't see it. You have to go up the staircase to get to the second tier, and that's located outside of our pod. The pipes outside the cells, they leaked a lot. Dudes are constantly mopping up water, and that water would just leak into your cell. I remember big sheets of old paint, like old lead-based paint, just peeling everywhere. Look at the ceilings, and it's just almost 100 years worth of paint just falling, big sheets of it just hanging off the walls, hanging off the ceilings. Mold on the brick, mold all over the ceilings, mold on the walls. You try to wipe it down, and there's no point. You're going to get sick just touching it and trying to wipe the walls down. How do you wipe down walls where all the paint's peeling off? You don't. You just disturb it and make it worse. So you just kind of leave it alone. You know not to touch the walls. House of Corrections was known for its violence. I told y'all the story of the guy that was bugging us and bugging us and bugging us for something to eat. And dudes ended up smashing him out due to that mental health issues. And then he ended up scooping the food up with his own blood in it. He bled all in this food and eating it. Guards were lazy, just there to get a paycheck, and did not care what took place inside of it. Now, the way this place is designed, it's a giant circle. And there's cells, that's what you call your center hub, and on the outside of that circle, there are tiers with cells in it. And the way they made that is so that somebody standing in the center could just do a 360 and look down each tier. But it didn't work because there's a set of bars. There's a section where the officer sits at their desk. And then there's like these two walls with this gate that closes. So if you're on the outside of both those gates looking down, number one, there's no cameras. So they can't see anything. Number two, those two walls off to the side pretty much block everything from the guard's view that's in there and anybody that would be walking by. And number three, the guards don't do rounds. The only time they come down that tier is when everybody's locked up or somebody's hurt to the point that they have to come physically pick them up and take them out of there. And all the time I was there, I never once remember a guard doing rounds. First time we go to rec, and the rec yard is tiny. It's a tiny, tiny rec yard. But it beats being in that. In the summertime, there's no AC. Y'all know how hot them Philly streets get, how hot it gets in Philly in the summertime. So you're locked up in the House of Corrections. There's no AC. There's mold. It's damp from the water. There's no real sunlight coming in except from your window. And that's so scratched up and cloudy that you can't see out of it. So you wanted to go to rec. You wanted to get fresh air because you felt like your lungs were just disintegrating and dying. You felt like they were just filled with that nasty, stagnant, old mop water smelling tier. I go out there and the first thing I know is, this is where dudes make things happen in. I see dudes trading off commissary. Dudes passing off cigarettes, passing off weed, passing off other drugs. Dudes sliding off in their little cliques. Now mind you, we come out this small gate. They pat you down. Guards aren't really doing their jobs. They're more or less looking for weapons. You know, they're not really concerned with food or drugs or anything. And they're not really trying to touch you because when dudes get so violent, any given moment, somebody could just knock one of them guards out because they're having a bad day. So they're not really touchy-touchy in Philly. But you come out this door, and this first thing you see is this tall-ass wall. Just this ginormous brick wall that goes way up. And if I remember right, there was like one row of old barbed wire on the top. My first time out there, the first thing I noticed is everybody's smoking. This is a place where you cannot smoke. But the guards are infamous for bringing things in. Guys are clicked off, smoking Newports, passing cigarettes around. Might be 5, 6 guys on one cigarette. You hitting that? Come on, man. You doing too much. Come on. Damn, you got the cherry all super long. Let me see that. Oh, man, you got the filter wet. Guys smoking weed. Guys got pieces of cigarettes. $2 clips. A little tiny piece of a cigarette for $2. They take a razor and cut what we call a Cadillac, a full-length cigarette, and they cut that into a whole bunch of sections. 10 sections, right? 10 sections out of one cigarette. And then you would take that and roll it. Guys would use Bible paper. Guys would use, the wrapper that comes on a roll of toilet paper, that real crinkly paper, they'd use that. They'd use the commissary receipts. But I noticed this is where you go to make it happen. Second day I come out, a couple of dudes I kicked it with, had tobacco and stuff, so we smoked. We blow some weed a little bit later that day. And the third day I come out, And it's just like any other day out there, except that no sooner than the guard locks the gate and leaves, I see a whole bunch of dudes jump on one dude. Just beat him up. Stomp him out. He tries to fight. Dude did put up a fight. They ran up on him and just started punching him, and he was trying to swing back, but it didn't take long for them to get him down. Start stomping him. Dude's trying to be the tougher of everybody in the pile. After they knocked this dude out, dudes would walk up and kick him in his face and stomp his head. And dudes would just, they're trying to shine in front of their homeboys. How do you shine in an environment like that? Violence, being barbaric. Dudes would just grab him by the back of his shirt as he laid there and just punch him in his face. Dude is unconscious. I'm standing over there with my group of dudes, the dudes I kick it with, dudes I've talked about in the past, and I'm just watching all this unfold. You don't do anything. You mind your business. He laid out there the entire rec period, until they, called yard in and we all came in. And he was awake, he was conscious, but he couldn't get up. They had done too much damage to him. And I think part of me now thinks, looking back on it, that he didn't get up because he was afraid if he got up, they would see, oh, he thinks he's still standing, and they would attack him again. So he pretty much laid there in and out of consciousness, bleeding really bad, damaged, just all mangled and beat up. The remainder of the rec period. We came through the gate. The guard went to go shut the gate and then noticed the guy off in the distance, laid right beside the building. It's like I said, everything's brick. He's laid up beside the building, just all the way beat up. Officer radio, nonchalantly and calm. Hey, yeah, we got one, down on such yard. Need assistance. No hurry. No rush to what was going on, and to the fact that this man might be dead. But you could see he was moving. The fact that he might be dying. Nobody comes in and questions about it. Guards don't come through and say, hey, what happened to the man out in the rec yard? Nobody seen nothing? They didn't care. That would be the very first, aside from being in like other rec cages and the ones I told you about with the ceilings made of fence and the walls with a piece of fence, that would be the first rec yard that I ever walked out on, that the wind could hit my face, the sun could shine on me, and I could smell the fresh air. I could hear the cars off in the distance and the traffic. That would be my first experience. Didn't happen on day 1, day 2, it happened on day 3. I continued to go to rec over the months, and it would just be more and more violent. They would release you out there, and you thought you was going to hide from that man. You owed that man some money, and you thought because he was over there that he couldn't get to you. Now you're on his rec yard and you're locked. And the guards do not care. And he's been telling everybody, and he's been plotting and planning about what he was going to do to you when he catches you outside. He sees you, and that's when he acts. Everybody else just, you kind of look, but you don't look, if that makes sense. Like you kind of keep your eyes straight forward, but cut your eyes in that direction. Because if a guard's to walk by inside and sees everybody's heads turned in one direction, then that's going to alert him that there's something going on over there. So in a sick kind of way, the convict code helps these guys do these things and get away with it. Because we're trained. Part of the penitentiary rules is you don't look. Mind your business. Don't be staring over there, drawing attention over there to what they got going on. So minding your business, you minding your business means that the next man is allowed to do what he's doing. And that whoever falls victim, just falls victim. That would not be the most horrendous thing I've seen. I did see a lot of really bad fights, a lot of one-on-one fights. A lot of people get jumped out on the House of Corrections rec yard. But that would not be the worst things that I'd ever see on rec yards. The House of Corrections has since been closed. I believe they closed it in 2020. I cannot even describe to you how old this place was. You used to your nice plush bed, your carpeted living room, and your hardwood floors. Then they bring you in this place, and they open that gate up, and they send you in, and they tell you what cell you're in. Nobody escorts you. There's no guard with you. Just walk in with your stuff underneath your arm. Guy standing in the cellways looking at you. This is a narrow tier with cells down both sides, and these tables right in the center. And you just walk by them looking at them. What's up? What's up? Hey, what's up? Hey, where you from, bro? And you shout out your section. Southwest. Oh, that's what's up. Hey, you over here, man. Come here. Come here. Hey, you know such. We fast forward many years now. No longer in Philly. I'm locked up here in Virginia. When they caught me, They caught me in Philly and they flew me from Philadelphia back to Virginia. We fast forward. I've been through many different institutions, bunches of different jails, different rec cages, rec yards. I've been through receiving, where I've seen things jump off there. But then I hit the notorious Greensville Correctional Center, located in Jarrett, Virginia, in Emporia. Place houses over 3,600 inmates. It's legitly like 6 prisons in one. It's broken up into 3 clusters that hold about 1,200 inmates each. I told y'all the first day that I got there, I got jumped. Due Fire, Danger, and another blood dude. They jumped me on the back side of the building. That was like my welcome home. Welcome to Greensville. My introduction to the yard on Greensville. I was on the blacktop. Hadn't been out there less than 30 minutes when I got jumped. I tried to fight, and there was nothing I could do. But it set the tone for things. It let me know, all right, you ain't in Kansas no more, Dorothy. Ain't no Toto. This ain't a dream. Shit's real. Dudes here are real violent. You see it. You sense it. You know it. You don't have to see it. And you can just feel it. It's written on the men's faces. It's written in their physique. These guys walking around with bodies that you could only acquire from being locked up. From doing hundreds of thousands of push-ups and pull-ups and pushing steel. Lifting heavy-ass weight, 300, 400, 500 pounds, to the point that the bar's been... You see guys with all types of tattoos. Everything from huge swastikas, Black Panthers, the set of the gang they're in, plastered across their chests or plastered across their backs. Guys walk by you with their entire faces tattooed, whole heads, no shirts on, and you see no bare skin. Most bare skin you might see is the bottom of their hands, and even most of that they've attempted to tattoo. You see the gay guys walk by. Some of these dudes got on booty shorts, shirts tied up in knots, groups of them. You look off in the distance, there's 50, 60 bloods having a meeting. You look over here, there's the Muslims having a meeting. Look over there, you got your 5%ers clicked up. You got your Aryans clicked up. You got Crips clicked up. You got GDs clicked up. And then you just got all the other dudes that are just caught up in all this. I kept a solid dude or a couple solid dudes around me most times. Then we had night rec. For the guys that have been there, they will tell you. Night rec would come back in the summertime. We only had it during the summer. So usually around, I want to say it was like May, June, they would start night rec. That means from 6:30, after count clears roughly between 6:20, meaning all inmates have been accounted for. They come over the loudspeaker at, 1800 hours. Count is now cleared at 1800 hours. Count is now cleared. Commence movement. They come over the loudspeaker. Stand by for outside rec. 100, 200 by. Stand by for outside rec. Doors will be closing in 5 minutes. Means you got 5 minutes to get your stuff out your cell. And if you want to go to rec, head towards the back gate that opens up to the rec yard. You just kind of mosey around and hang out till that gate opens. And then they release all 3 buildings at once. And hundreds of guys come pouring out these back doors. Some of these guys are dope fiends. Been sick. Might have been on lock. A week, 2 weeks. And they're looking at cops, so they're on a mission. Walking fast, trying to get to their favorite local drug dealer. Then you got other dudes that are in relationships, and his man might be in that building. And they're love struck and they ain't seen each other in 2 weeks now because we've been on lock. He's trying to get out the door so he can go get up with his boo jang. Got gang members trying to click up with other gang members and find out who got tore off on the shakedown. You got guys that want to work out, because when you don't work out and you're accustomed to working out, oh, we call it falling off. Man, I'm falling off. Look at me. Man, I'm shrinking. To us, if we ain't lifted weights in 2 weeks, we feel like we're scrawny, we're small, we're weak. You get out there in that rec yard and they shut that door. There's no officer out there. There's a tower off in the distance, outside of 3 layers of fences, 3 sections of razor wire out there in the distance. Sits the tower. with a guard with a gun that just stands there leaning on the rail on the top of the tower way up, just kind of glancing around. On them hot summer days, you don't even see that guard. That guard's inside of that tower with a fan blowing on them. Because they don't want to be standing. They're not going to stand out there for 2 hours while that sun beats on them or the sun's going down. But then when night rec would roll around, there's sections of the rec yard, especially down what we call Cracker Beaches, where it's all the way at the end of the rec yard, and that's where they would bring the death row inmates in to execute them. Right there at the end of our rec yard. It's dark. Pitch black down there. They have these huge lights, like softball field lights, that light up to illuminate the rec yard at nighttime so the guards that guard in that tower can see. So that vehicle that drives around the prison 24 hours a day, driving by, can see if somebody's dying or something. But down at this section, it's pitch black. That's where we would all hang out. If you didn't want to be seen smoking, you got some weed rolled up, you go down there into the darkness. If you were looking for somebody you wanted to hurt them, you went down there and you waited in the darkness for them to pass by. And in the moment that they passed by, guys were either going to grab them and drag them over into the shadows, run up and push them, or you would just come out of the darkness and attack them. One of the first altercations out of God knows how many, probably hundreds, that I can remember happened down there past Cracker Beach. And it involves something I've talked about in the past, a rock. Now, I don't know the two dudes that are in this story. I don't know why they were beefing. I didn't know the beef was coming. But it's like I've told y'all in the past, you can feel it. It doesn't have to be 100 people getting ready to do something. It can just be one. And there's something about the violence in the air or the oncoming danger that you can feel. And I remember it's like 5, 6 guys walking. And these aren't your typical tough guy prison dudes. It's a group of white dudes, and there's a taller white dude in the center, got his shirt hanging out his back pocket, and we're down at this end just chilling. If I remember right, my homeboy brung out some wine, and that was our purpose for being down there, is we were drinking, and we didn't want to be seen with these cups. They see 6, 7 guys standing around with cups. It's a no-brainer. These guys got alcohol. So we just clicked up, and I see this group of guys coming, and then there's little cliques of guys all around me, doing what they're doing, smoking weed, leaning back in the corner, shooting dope in their veins. All different things going on. And as this group gets closer, I look over and there's like 4 black dudes standing here off, maybe 7, 8 feet from me, smoking. At this time, you can still smoke cigarettes. The guys pass us, go by, and I see the one dude reach down and pick something up underneath the shirt and just run up and bust this dude in the back of his head with it. It was a rock that he had dug out the ground, a rigid-ass rock. And he just ran upside this boy and just hit him one time. Boom! Cracked his head wide open. He falls over into the dirt. Laying there, blowing. Body twitching. Doing this weird shit. And I just looked at him. You know what his homeboys did when he got smacked with that rock? Nothing. They jumped. Watched him hit the ground. Looked at the dudes that were with the guy that just attacked him. And they kept walking. They never made a lap to come back around to see if this guy was okay. He eventually got up, bleeding all out the back of his head, blood running down his back, kind of looked around, had no prior acknowledgement of what happened to him, no idea what he was doing on the ground, why he was on the ground, who attacked him, where all this blood was coming from, where his friends that he was just laughing and joking were. And he stumbled that way. He would go up there and sit on we had these picnic tables out there at the very front, and then these softball bleachers, because it was a big-ass softball field. He'd go up there and sit at the picnic table next to the bleachers, blood gushing out the back of his head, waiting for the door to open so he could go back inside, trying to avoid detection from the guards on the way in, because when they see you're bleeding, they're going to take you and put you in the hole. You've just been attacked because you won't tell them on that yard who it was, who on that yard attacked you. He didn't know. But even if he did know, he couldn't tell anybody. I watched him make his way in, slide past the guards. They never even noticed that blood all on the back of his head, blood matted to the side of his face with dirt stuck to it. His homeboys just left him there. Handball was a big thing. There's several sports, a lot of people don't know this, that are actually played in prison. Basketball, being one of the biggest things in prison. We got a full court blacktop outside, and then we got a half court. The half court is where I was jumped when I first got there. Guys fought over basketball. Summertime, it is 100 plus degrees outside. The sun is beaming on you. Your skin is burning. Virginia is a very humid state. It's not like the West Coast. Out here, when you sweat, you're drenched. And then that sweat gets sticky. Tempers flare. The smallest thing sets guys off, especially guys that are in there behind violent acts. They've displayed violence to any and everyone they know in the world. They struggle to try to hold this violence in. Then they get to playing ball and boom, you catch an elbow in the face. And you would see it right then and there unfold. Whether it just go to a full-fledged fight or the guy run and grab something and come back and poke somebody, it's going down. That guard in the tower, they got one guard overseeing 1,000 people. Fast movement going on everywhere. And this guard doesn't catch it. Handball, I've mentioned. Out back at the building, when you come out, the door you come out of, when that door closes, there's a wall. We had these little blue handballs. Dudes, boom, would play handball. But you could never really get a solid handball game in. No sooner than you would get started playing handball, boom, 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 you and your partner versus that dude and his partner. It's almost every time it was inevitable. Y'all would get into the game, and you'd see a group of dudes approaching you. Hey, yo, let us get the corner real quick. They'd slide up in the corner. Boom! Go to rumbling. And one man would be left. Handball game is over. You got to wait for somebody to come get this dude up now. Unless you're going to grab him by his feet and just pull him out the way, which I've seen done. I've seen guys literally take a knocked out man, grab his feet, and pull him off into the dirt so they could continue to play handball, minding their business. For the most part, the yards I was on were set up similar. There was a big yard, and then you go through a fence to a smaller yard. Smaller yard over there was where the weights were, where the blacktops were for the basketball. Then the big yard had your softball field, and down at the very end of it, you had your little volleyball area, and there was a huge track. Dusty-ass track with rocks and gravel and just dust. Littered with old cigarette butts that people had thrown when we could still smoke. And guys would just, we call it spinning the track. You would walk circles around this track. Day in and day out. Middle of summer, sun beating on you. Everybody's out there with no shirt on. I don't care if you're skinny, muscular, fat, whatever the case may be. For the most part, everybody is out there with no shirt on. Except for some of the weird guys. You see some of the weird guys walking around with their blue shirt on, buttoned all the way up. Weird as hell. But the main theme was sweat and no shirt. Guys walking around with their beanies on in the middle of summertime. Timberland boots, the Pro Tims, the ones they sold us. State boots, tennis shoes. Off in the distance you hear people talking, people walking by, you hear people talking. It's a really, really crowded place. During the shakedowns, I would look out my cell window and see the guards out there walking around with the metal detectors, swaying back and forth across the rec yard. Because the yard is where we'd hide a weapon. You keep one inside the building somewhere you could get to, but you always kept one buried on that rec yard. You go out there and you count the fence post. All right, my knife is buried 14 posts down on the right. Take a mark or something, put a mark on that post. And you know that buried right at the base of that post is where your knife is. And we bury them there because if they walk by with the metal detector and it hits on metal, well, of course it's going to hit on metal. There's a metal post in the ground, so they wouldn't discover it. That's the knife you don't want to get stabbed with. The one that's been out there through all the seasons, that sits in the ground day in and day out, rusting. It's covered in everything. Dirt, stuff people have dumped out, the weather, the rain. Then somebody gets it out, runs up and attacks you. And a lot of times it's not the knife wound you got to worry about. It's the infection that comes from the piece of rusty steel that has been shoved into your body repeatedly. I had seen guys get stabbed on the rec yard and take off with the knife still hanging out of them. I'd seen guys run and have guys chase them, still stabbing them. I'd seen guys fall, guys get on top of them and stab them and stab them and stab them. I'd seen guys get stabbed or cut and then take their shirt and hold it up to the stab wound and then get another shirt and put it over top of them So once again, they can make it past the guard without being detected. Not knowing whether it just went into their intestines, not knowing if it just hit a vital organ. They're bleeding. And their main concern is not their health. It's not going to the hole. What does that tell you about how bad the hole is when you would rather deal with the stab wound and not know if you're going to die than go sit in the hole? I've seen guys be attacked with everything from baseball bats, horseshoes, the rocks, any type of weapon you could think about. Adapters that you plug in televisions with, hot liquids. Fights were normal. Gang initiations, normal. Watching a guy come out there and you could see he's got all these other gang members with him. It's the first time you've really seen him clicked up with all of them. You've seen him walking with one or two of them here and there, and then another different group of them here and there so they can feel him out to see if he's solid. And now it's time, they call it bringing him home. It's time to bring him home. They go over to that same handball court. That is a blind spot. That guard in that tower cannot see that. It's a flaw in the design of the prison. It's a place that cannot be seen by the guards. There's a camera hanging on the side of the building that dudes have broken with rocks over the years. The thing is tilted, hanging down, wires exposed, lens gone. It's supposed to watch and be there for your safety, but it doesn't work. It's outdated, it's old, it's gray, it's huge, like the size of one of them old school camcorders, and it's just tilted down, hanging from the wires, looking at the ground. The guys take their newest recruit over in the corner. The other gang members surround in a circle so, that people can't really see what's going on, but you can see it. If you were just playing handball, you just slide off into the group of gang members and just stand there till they're done. Because they asked you to step out the way. So you're not going to roll out. You're going to stand there and wait for them to finish what they're doing. They take the new guy in there. And I've seen guys go in that corner and get their things off. 3 of them try to jump on one, and that boy be in there. Boom, boom, boom. Stroking them, hitting them, knocking them down. Going at it. And then I've seen guys go in that corner, get completely demolished, and because they didn't hold their own, they get left on the ground. Battered, bruised, broke up, bleeding everywhere. And the dudes be like, nah, you ain't cut it to be with us. If you couldn't handle 3 of them, what are you going to do if a war pops off? So then he just essentially got smashed, got his ass beat, is bleeding, has got to walk around now with black eyes and knots all over his head. And these dudes just told you, nah, you're not strong enough to be one of us. I'd seen them have disputes within themselves, and they do what's called a violation and take you over in the corner, and your own gang commence to, for a certain amount of time, every gang's got a set amount of how many guys you're going to have to fight and a set amount of how long that fight, that violation is going to be to take place. I've seen them go from a minute up to 5 minutes. It's a very long time. Here it is, you came into prison for whatever reason. You got a mama, you got a daddy, you got children. You got people out there in the world that care about you. That might be sitting on their couch, getting ready to eat dinner, or just watching a show, whatever's going on at home. And they don't know that you're in prison at that exact same moment, over in that corner fighting 3 different guys at once. The prison rec yard is the equivalent of a gladiator arena. You got your spectators, and then you got your gladiators. You got guys that love to fight and that are looking for a reason to fight. You got guys that are violent and that are looking for a reason to stab somebody. You got guys that smoke crack their whole life and now everything's respect. You will respect me. He disrespected me. But you ain't disrespect your grandma when you stole her food stamps in her purse, right? You ain't disrespecting people you robbed, right? You ain't disrespect your kids you sitting there getting high in front of them, right? But now that same man is in prison. He ain't a crackhead no more. I'm a man. He done put on 60 pounds. He don't look like Earthworm Jim no more. He ain't all frail with bones hanging out his face. He done got back eating the potatoes, doing burpees. Now he's a man. Everybody's a man. Everybody wants respect. And the smallest things you would never think about, are considered disrespect in the penitentiary. And if a man can't get to you, the one place he can't get to you is on that prison rec yard. That's the one place you won't be able to hide. I've said this before, so let me say it so the people in the back can hear me. You can run around in these streets hiding from people. You can get on the internet and be a troll and then go back to the safety of wherever you live at. You can go back to your normal little boring life and you ain't got to worry about nothing. When it comes to prison, jail, places like that, you may confide in somebody and say something you shouldn't have said. And now he goes and says it. Now we're back to that respect. Now you're a marked man. You know what everybody's looking at in those moments? What you do next. I'm sure some people watching would say, man, I would never go out on a rec yard if it's like that. Yes, you would. Because everybody's watching to see what you do. When they hear that you've got beef, even if you're a recluse and you never go to rec, you're expected to be on that yard that evening. And if you're not on that yard, everybody's looking at you like, soft ass. Now everybody's going to carry you. Guys you've never interacted with before, they're coming for you. Because now you look like something to eat. I've been in situations where I didn't know what to do, but I knew I had to go out there. I know that staying in here is not going to solve it. Staying in here is going to make it 1,000 times worse. I've got to report to that rec yard this evening and handle the situation I got to handle. No matter what happens when I go out there, I have no choice in the matter. I've got to go out there. More time than one, I've headed out that back door, knowing that danger's around the corner, knowing that either he's going to bleed or I'm going to bleed. My blood will forever be on that black top. My blood will forever be in the earth, in the dirt out there on that rec yard. At the end of the day, there's no saying that at no point ever was I scared when it came to situations like that. You are a liar. You're a liar if you say that. Anybody that can say there's another man running around that's getting ready to try to take your life, and you're now in a situation where you might have to take his, you can't say that's not scary. If you're not scared of the physical aspect of it, you can't tell me you're not scared of the fact that you might do something to him, get caught and never go home again. That there's all types of dudes out here watching that would love to have something to tell, that want to try to get a couple years knocked off their sentence, that might, in hopes of getting an extra tray. Dudes are telling you for an extra tray, a bag of chips, good graces, extra time out the cell. That rec yard's unforgiving. You watch the news. You think they send them serial killers too? Where you think the men that you see, 6 gun down last night, suspect in custody, where do you think that man's at? He's in a penitentiary somewhere in America walking a rec yard. The buildings are where the guards are. That's where the correctional officers go for most times. They're not trying to be out there where it's hot. They'll tell you over the microphone, it's hot outside, you go out there, you stuck out there. Don't be at that door banging on that door, rattling that gate. If you're going outside today, there's a heat advisory, your ass is out there. Do you think they came to work to stand out in 100 degrees weather all day? No. They're in the control booth. They're in the comfort of an office with AC. They're over at staff dining. They're somewhere where they're trying to beat the heat. They're staying out of it. I used to see them glimpse out of the sergeant's window every now and then. Glimpse out at the rec yard. Dudes is on that shit. They go right underneath the building, right underneath where the sergeant's window is, and fight underneath the window. The sergeant be in the window looking out, and there'll be 10 people right below him going at it. Over a course of 10 years, I honestly cannot give you an accurate number on how many situations I dealt with personally, how many assaults I seen, attempted murders I saw, how many times I seen men running for their lives. I heard men yell, scream, cry. I'd be lying if I tried to put a number on it. I'm sure there's some that I'd have to go deep in my brain to even bring up because others trump that situation. Certain situations in my mind stand out more than that situation. Seen guys get robbed, come out with the intent on buying some weed, have $50, $60 worth of commissary on them. Another group of dudes see him with the commissary. Oh, he thinks he's about to go cop, son. Hey, youngin', go get that for me. You come out there with the intention of buying a little bit of smoke, right? You're going to smoke. Now dude's got you pressed in the corner. Hey, come up off that bag, man. Yeah, glad you brought that out for us. Who are you? Broke jaw, bag took. You ain't smoking nothing. You drank it through a straw. Seen little guys attacked by big guys. Big guys attacked by big guys. Big guys attacked by little guys. Seen guards attacked, guards stabbed, guards knocked out cold. Seen the whole yard shut down. Hundreds of men laying on their bellies in the dirt as a guard stands in the tower with a rifle, swaying it around as two men go at it with knives, steadily stabbing. Guards screaming on the megaphone, "Stop stabbing, stop, put the weapon down, put the weapon down." And they're over there still going at it, pacing back and forth, both of them bleeding, leaking. Neither one of them backing down. And all you can do is just lay there in the dirt and look and be glad that you're not the man with the holes in you and that you're not one of the men holding the knife. Sad enough, a lot of y'all watching this video, I'm not going to say a few, a lot of people watch my videos. A lot of you have done time and a lot of you have not done your time yet. If you find yourself in a situation, look back on this. Think about this. Next time you go to do whatever it is that you do, whether you get high and you're trying to get well, and you're out here stealing or you're committing crimes, remember, this is just part of what comes with it. You can put all this together and compile and get a compilation of everything that makes it what it is. This is just a small portion of what you can expect. You can run around here in the streets ripping people off, lying, putting on a mask and pretending to be tough. Go in there and do it. You're not going to be able to run from what's coming. You rip somebody off, they might not catch you in the pod, might not catch you in the chow hall. But one thing's for sure, the moment you go out that rec door, they're going to get you. Speak on somebody's name, troll somebody if you want to. Talk bad about them, call them a liar. Do all that. And then mosey on out that door like you would at your grandma's house that you live at. Like you would when you go walking down the block like everything's good. And instead of there being a corner store down there waiting on you, there's a man that's been plotting, planning, and debating, just waiting for your return, waiting on the day that you come out that door with no good intentions, with no intentions on anything other than trying to take your life. I've got 3 different guys that I had cellmates that were good friends of mine at one point in time coming home this year. I look forward to them coming you home. I'm going to turn the camera on and just let them talk. I've been there for situations they've been in. They've been there for situations that I've been in. And one thing they'll tell you, I'm not a liar. And another thing they'll tell you is, I never ran. I never checked in. I never disappeared from my problems. I faced them head on. Even when every hair was standing up on the back of my neck and I knew this is going to get bad. I've got to become somebody I don't want to be. And I'm facing a man that most people never have to face in their lifetime. But I would still make the decision to go that way and not that way. I'd rather die standing on my feet and facing my problems than on my knees with a knife in my back. That's why y'all see me, I'm so adamant about these stories. I'm so adamant about the channel. There's a lot to be learned. There's a lot to gain. You may look at me as just a prison YouTuber. For me, this is an outlet, and it's a way to give back. It's a way to teach, reach, speak out, to help others. You gotta leave your gun at home. Can't take your gun with you. Can't take your homeboys with you. Nah. You get there, it's you. You can say, I'm part of a gang. Your gang might be the one messing your ass up. They might X you out and then stand by as watch as other gangs jump on you. Other dudes jump on you. What you're not going to do is go in there and run things like you did out here on the streets. Not going to happen. You're going to go in there, you're going to do what everybody else does. Or you're going to do what they don't do. Become a coward and go somewhere and hide. But one thing all men that go to prison will do is walk that yard. You're not all guaranteed to make it up off there. But you are guaranteed to see violent things happen. And depending on how you carry yourself, how much time you got, and who you are as a person, that's going to determine whether you're watching violent things or whether you're actually part of it. The yard. I want to say salute to everybody that stuck around for this part of the video to the very end. Yes, my videos are long. There's a lot to be said. I edit, and before I edit, sometimes these videos are an hour and a half, 2 hours long. Because it's not made up stuff. It's stuff I can talk about all day long. but I have to edit them down to about 45 minutes. Everybody ain't got 45 minutes to spend watching a video. I know some of y'all probably watch this in segments, and I apologize if they're too long. But the message can't be given in 5 minutes. All the information can't be put out there in 5 minutes. I could do these stories for hours and hours and hours. But I can't turn the camera off or walk away from the video until I feel that I've fully done justice to the topic at hand. At the end of the day, and I've said this and I'll say it until the day I die, this is not something I want anyone that's never experienced to have to experience. I know for the men that have done time, they watch this and it takes them back to when they did time. It takes them back to events they saw, stories they have. Everybody's got a story in life. If this isn't your story, this isn't a chapter in your life, don't let it become. You do not know who you are until that gate closes behind you. Until the only person that can protect you is you. When there's nowhere to run, you really find out who you are as a person. When people come for you and the only direction to go is towards it, that's when who you are as a man gets tested. But anyways, these jails, institutions, facilities, these prisons, they're all just crazy worlds inside of this already crazy world we live in. And as always, y'all know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to keep y'all entertained. Are you not entertained? And like always, this is Jay Williams, Let's Live Life. And to all my real ones. And there are some real ones watching. But y'all still watching me. Man, y'all know how we do. Salute.